Black History Month at Next Generations Church. Robert I. Dixon, the pastor. This was an event for Next Generation Elderly. Next Generation is very big on nutrition. So for the meal that was prepared was pasta, wonderful desserts, salads, just good tasting food. Right here in Next Generation, we love our elderly. Serve them with care because we care.
I looked at that basket of clothes and I looked at her. I said, "What did you do with my purse?" She said, "It's in the closet." I said, "I want it."
Yes, ma'am.
I said, "I am going home." Wait, but what about the iron? I said, "I don't know, but I'm not working nowhere where I got to come in the back door."
Yes.
I got my purse. I swung it over my shoulder. When I got home, she said, "I called my grandmother."
Yes, ma'am.
When I got home, my grandmother said, "Yes," and she missed whatever, and they called me. I said, she said, "Well, I told her, these young people are not going to put up with us, what us old people put up with."
Yes,
So
ma'am.
y'all might as well get ready.
Uh-huh.
So that was it. Needless to say, I didn't go back.
I need you. And then you ain't
I would like to know how many of you have been first with the job that you've done? Somebody's never done, a black person never held that job before. Okay, well, that's my, I asked, how many of you have been a first to hold a position, a job that you had? And I'm saying this because First Lady, you wouldn't know anything about this. You wouldn't know anything about this because there were other black people before you. But I was the first in a couple of jobs that I had. In fact, the last job I had, I was the first to ever hold that position.
Wow.
And I did it with five white men and myself. You have no idea what I went through. It was just an experience, and this is the only reason why I'm sharing this. It's not to brag about, the job, because young folks now, they have these jobs covered. I mean, they're everywhere. Also, when I went to school, I went to a school where they were military. I went to Texas Women's University in the 60s. Do you know how many black girls were at Texas Women's University in the 60s? Do you know anything about the school? Do you know can you guess how many black girls were at that school when I went? Huh?
3.
Not very many. Not very many. But it's just amazing to look around and see all you young folks who, I am so proud. You're just involved with everything. There's nothing that our children, they can do anything. And that's really, for me, to be this age and to think about what you can accomplish, that is really something to think about and to be proud of. And the other thing I want to tell you is that Doris Marie Ruby and we did see Tyler Perry one time in Houston. And we saw his show.
Yes.
And the other thing is, when I lived in Vancouver, Washington, I had the privilege of seeing Toni Morrison. President, the poet. She's no longer living, but that was quite a thing. I personally, I wasn't able to meet her, but I was there for her presentation.
Awesome. Amen. Sister Lily, and then Sister McCroy, did you have your hand up? Okay.
I just want to say this. As someone who grew up in the deep South, in a little town in North Louisiana, Jim Crow was real. And when I hear young people say, "Well, I couldn't have done that," you would have adapted. It's just like you would have adapted because it was real. It was real. And when you think of the courage of the people who set in, the people who marched, the people who crossed, the bridge and fell. Think of the courage that they had to do that, because it was literally them putting their lives on the line.
Yeah.
And many of them died.
Yeah.
Many of them died. So, you know, so I guess I just kind of, when I hear young people say, well, I wouldn't have done that, yes, you would have. Because Jim Crow was real. It was real.
I believe it was real. I had my grandfather. I know what you're saying because I've had my mother and father, grandparents to say, oh yeah, you would have adapted, you know, but just to not.
I mean, the Klan was so far for the cross in front of our house. And I never will forget, my father went to the sheriff and told them, if they want to burn a cross, they can burn it in the ditch because that's parish. In Louisiana, we had parish and not county. That's parish. But if they come up on my property and scare my daughters again, I'm going to shoot to kill. So where did the Klan burn their crosses? In the ditch.
Yeah.
They knew not to come on my father's property. And that was, well, you have to know our living situation, but we were people who owned our own land.
That's right.
In that community. My father's family was very proud, very proud. I remember, let's tell the story. One summer they were working on the roof of the church, and I was about 6 then. And my cousin and I, a little boy, were there. We were playing, and they delivered the lumber. And the owner of the sawmills drove them. He was white, and the black people were, you know, unloading it. And he said to them, "How you boys doing?" And my Uncle Artis looked at him and said, "How big the men grow where you come from?" And I remember that night, my father getting his gun because they went down and they guarded my Uncle Artis' house. You know, so Jim Crow was a real thing. It was real. It was real.
Sister McElroy?
Well, my experience is through education. When I went to all black school, and at that time they had just opened up the doors for section. So I went to a local Lamar University. I went to Lamar University, anxious to go to college. Oh, I was anxious. I couldn't sleep all at night. Got there the next day early. My first class was 7 o'clock in the morning. I got there early. I couldn't wait. First class was American history. I get in there were 2 other blacks in there. There was 2 black young men. And I sat down in my seat all excited, and the instructor told me, "You may as well leave because you're not going to pass." And I looked at him. I said, "What?"
Sister McElroy, Mama can't hear you. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Speak a little louder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm messing with you, Sister McElroy. How you doing? I got you. Oh, you look beautiful. You look beautiful.
So that, and the 2 young men, they stayed. I left and got another class for that. Because I was scared. I didn't know what to tell you what may happen. But because we were among the first blacks to go to school there. And then even with the job, girl, it was easy to get a job back then. Everybody need to have at least one black. That didn't make me mad at work. I get my person leave. I go get another job. And I did that several times. It was no problem. But the way they treated you on the job, I had one man, he hired, you know, it was Allied Chemical. I remember everybody had heard of Allied Chemical. The manager there told me, "The only reason I hired you because you colored." I said, "The only reason I'm working here is because I needed a job."
Yeah.
It was hard back in those days. It was hard.
We have Sister Mitchell wanting to share.
I know I'm not as old as you guys are, but where I come from, Selma, Alabama, and most of you should know about Selma, where they did the march over the Edmonds Bridge, Martin Luther King Jesse Jackson and all them. I did get a chance to march the year that Jesse Jackson did. That was nice and beautiful to see him. And like where I come from, it was very segregated. It was where when I went to the doctor, we had to go blacks on one side, whites on the other. We also had people that's playing like Sister Lily was saying, they come to our house, burn crosses on my dad's yard. And come to find out, my mom, she was, used to work for this lady. Didn't know her husband was a Ku Klux Klan. I was supposed to get a summer job there. I walked in and they showed me around. All of a sudden she opened this door and said, the road. I looked at that lady, I backed up, I said, I'm not working here. I went home and I told my mom, she said, I hope they don't bother us about that. The same night they came on. Burn the cross.
The same like they what?
They burned the
So burn the
cross.
cross at your place, at your
Yes,
house.
ma'am.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, I have a story.
Oh,
But I can't have a story.
yeah.
So as I was driving down Wallacefield, headed home to Black Rock, coming from Prairie View, the mighty Prairie View A&M University. And so Chuck and I, Brad, all of us were in the car. This was about 91. And we were all pulled over. We were trying to figure it out. Why were we pulled over? We hadn't broken any laws, any rules. And middle of the summertime, they put our faces on the hot car that was still running. We're all bent over. And so when they finally released us, put us back in the car, I said, well, sir, why did you pull us over? He said, DWB.
What's that?
Drive while black.
Wow.
And that wasn't the first time. You didn't know about it. Your mom, y'all didn't know about it because we didn't tell you. Because it would have been a march all the way up Wallacefield.
We know she didn't know about it because her face is.
Yeah, her face
She
is.
did not know about it.
But many times, in many instances, now when Dad was told about it, and to merge the story, Rodney was coming. We were over off of Maxie Road. I was pastoring then. We were coming from rehearsal that night, choir rehearsal. And we came up Uvalde from Wood Forest. He lived in Kingwood at the time. I'm on the phone with him as he's driving because we were just talking. Well, he was pulled over. He was in he was a manager at First Convenience Store. He was pulled over in Foodtown parking lot. The guy pulled him over. About 3 other cars came, so I was coming. I had a white Cadillac as well back then. And so I'm coming behind him. So as I turn in Foodtown, and I say, sir, I'm Pastor Dixon. This is my brother. What's the problem? He said, get the explicit off of this property before I take you to jail. Guns was wrong. Rodney eased and got his. He said, sir, I'm just trying to get my insurance. Pulled out his insurance. The reason why they pulled him over, it was a DWB. But as he had his shirt on that said manager, they told him, get the F back to Kingwood. You don't belong over here with a nice car. And the reason why they pulled him over is because he had a nice car and the black man was driving up Uvalde. So those type of things still happen. And of course I went up to the police station and told them I know Judge Joe Stevens and all. So we raised a ruckus about it. But those type of things are still happening even today. Modern day racism. Yeah.
Okay, yes, ma'am. It's gonna start all over again right now.
That's gonna pick up. That's gonna pick up.
Got to the cotton field. We got our little hoes and things, and this man came around. He said, "Hey, what y'all doing? Y'all must ain't never chopped no cotton before, because y'all chopping down the cotton and leaving up the cuckabugs." We were chopping this man's cotton down. He was hot. I'm gonna take y'all to my house, and y'all gonna chop around this peach tree.
Well, he took us down to his house, put us on the back of the truck, just me and my sister, and dropped us off in his house, went and told his wife, I brought these two girls down here.
KSP, KS Production.